Welcome back, guys. This is Albert Rukwaro again. Today we will focus on West Africa. The president of Gabon, Ali Bongo, was today apparently overthrown by the military, and it looks like the military there has popular support from the people. A new phenomena that is happening in West Africa, especially in the French-speaking countries. We saw it in Mali, we saw it in Burkina Faso, we saw it in Niger the other day, and now here we are in Gabon, and it is happening again. And it seems like there's a new thing going on. People have said they don't want these puppets of the West, and since they cannot take power themselves, the military comes in and takes power on their behalf. Okay, and we hope that the militaries of those countries are faithful to their citizens. Their citizens have looked everywhere, they have tried everything, they have tried democracy, they have failed, because these countries are controlled from outside. And so the military, please, guys from those countries, be aware of your solemn duty to do right by your people. But I know these countries are now under pressure quite a bit. We have a squatter in Niger. The French ambassador in Niger was expelled by the coup leaders, the guys who took over the other day, and was given 48 hours to leave. And he has refused to leave. France has said he's not leaving. And so he is sequestered in the French embassy in Niamey. And that is a very sad situation where a foreigner says he's not leaving. Every country has a right to tell anybody to leave their country. But because they don't recognize this as the legitimate government, because it was not elected, it's a military government, they have said no, they will not obey those orders. And they can only obey orders issued by the former president, their puppet, who is currently under house arrest and is out of power. And there is that crisis going on in Niger. And then as France is trying to stamp its authority in Niger by refusing to let their ambassador leave, well, one of their main guys in West Africa, Ali Bongo, is told to step aside. And he is now under house arrest. And it's a fluid situation in West Africa. But this should inform what is going on in Africa. People are just tired, okay? People have just heard it over the top. People are tired of these countries that come in and take people's resources, our resources, and they leave us in poverty. It is very sad to see the kids of Africa. They go through school, okay? They do their best in school because that's what they are told to do. They leave their parents in poverty because everywhere in Africa, school is not free. It has to be paid. It's not taxpayer funded. So parents dig deep. They take away their own money, their own retirement resources to educate their children. And once these children are educated, they have nowhere to go. They don't have jobs. The economies there have been drained dry by these foreign entities, by these foreign governments. The plunder of the resources to where there are no jobs. In countries like my own Kenya, you find a lot of kids becoming boda riders, or what is called boda rider is a motorcycle rider who carries passengers on his motorcycle. And that's the business a lot of these kids are getting into, and that is not a sustainable business, Others in many other countries, survive on selling second-hand clothes and stuff like that. And yet, in the West and in Asia and in every other place in the world, when young people finish school, even before they finish school, they have jobs, decent jobs. They are paying taxes already. They are saving. It's not unusual for a 23-year-old in America to have a mortgage, and that is virtually unheard of in Africa. Why? Well, now kids have said no, they have had enough of that, and they have started acting up, and we will see how it goes. But now the danger is, for one, you don't entrust your future to a guy holding a gun. That is a very dangerous way to do things. But they don't have a choice. They can't remove these people legally. They can't have an election that is not stolen. And the people who facilitate the stealing of their elections, the people who facilitate the rigging of elections in Africa, are these foreign countries and foreign entities that want to control the resources in those countries. So the presidents they put there are nothing but puppets. And these puppets, they are more than glad to sell out their people because they get something in return. It's like gangland. It's like thugs out there who have come up with an international scheme to enrich themselves. You know, as long as you let us do what we want, you can steal as much as you want. We won't bother you. We will actually prop you up. We will fund your campaigns, and you'll be good to go as long as you can stand up there and lie to people. And that is what people have had enough of, you know. And when I look at what is happening in Niger, in Chad, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, and now in Gabon, and I can tell you, even though some of you may accuse me of playing prophet here, but I can tell you Senegal and Cameroon, yeah, they are about to experience something. And we just hope that when this revolution starts taking shape, it will not be so convoluted and so chaotic that it ends up being just another mess. And I can tell you right now, guaranteed, our enemies are working day and night. They are burning the midnight oil to see how they can sabotage these people's movement that is taking place in West Africa and seems likely to also take over in other countries. You know, I can, for example, when I think about it, recent elections in Nigeria, recent elections in Kenya, and recent elections in Zimbabwe, they have all been disputed. The people who have been declared winners have a lot of legitimacy issues. In Nigeria, Tinubu, who won, he has messed his image even further by the way he handled the Niger crisis. He seemed to be actually just another puppet of the European Union. He advocated for invading Niger and restoring the corrupt puppet president who was removed by the military. Of course, the countries that surround Niger, Mali, and countries like Mali and Burkina Faso, they have said, no, if you attack that, you are attacking all of us. And that seems to have made them back off and try to create a diplomatic solution. And the only diplomatic solution that they can create is to have another election without interference from the West. How can we be sure that that will happen? And that is the impasse right now. And it's not looking good. Okay? Now, the question is, what do we do after this? I see countries like Cameroon going down. And Cameroon is a unique country. It is both French and English. It will be the bridge that might cross to the former British colonies, Nigeria and Kenya and Zimbabwe and other countries. And who knows what might happen. I'm not saying that that is what will happen. I actually think there could be better ways to deal with this without involving the military, especially in countries like Kenya that have very professional militaries that wouldn't want to mire themselves in civilian matters. But it's all up in the air because as far as I know, there are legitimacy issues in these countries. And the American ambassador, for example, in Kenya, has not helped matters for her country by looking to be totally partisan. She looks like every time she opens her mouth, she is speaking on behalf of the current regime. And this is a regime that is facing legitimacy issues. How does that regime now escape the label of being a puppet of America? I don't know. I hope they can find a way to do it. I don't know whether they'll be able to do that. But it is a dangerous place to be. for a regime in Africa right now. If you are seen to be a puppet of any foreign entity, you may have to work extra hard to regain your footing. Now, what do? The problem is that we are not one entity. We are not one country. So Niger and its neighbors could try and help each other, but it's a matter of time before these countries, these powerful countries, come in and start doing their work now. And a country like Gabon, isolated, they can land there in a minute. These people that we are trying to get out of our countries, they have military bases on African soil, all of them. And it's our leaders who gave them those bases. They are given money, they are given trade deals that they say are favorable to them, and then they allow military bases on our soil. So launching an attack on us is not hard. Cyber security, we don't have any way of communicating between ourselves, even on these channels here. If they decide to shut it down, they can shut it down. These are their satellites. These are their companies, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. These are all American, European, or Chinese companies. And we may have to figure a way of talking if they decide to switch us off. And that is the danger that we face. And the African Union is the only entity that we have that could do something. And so far, I'm ashamed. They have not been doing anything about the situation. They are scared. They don't know what to do. Of course, they are scared because they are puppets too. They are put in there by their fellow puppets to run the African Union. They spend most of their time in Europe and America and China and other world capitals. They spend their money, because we don't have a lot of money that we give them. But it's not like African Union has ever come directly to Africans and asked them to fund them. No, they go to the African governments led by their fellow puppets, and they are given some crumbs there by these African governments, and then they are told, go borrow the rest from the people who exploit us. And they get grants to run the affairs of the African Union. They are funded by the same people who exploit us, and that is so sad, because these are the people now, the people of Gabon are telling to back off. How do you leave the people who don't have any power to fight the French? And the only entity that can stand in is the African Union, whose hands are tied by all these deals they have gotten with these people. But either way, in any way, they have to do something about it, because if they don't, this could turn to be a chaotic situation. You remember the Arab Spring in 2010, 2011, I don't remember exact. The Arab Spring started in Tunisia, moved to Algeria, down to Libya, Egypt, all the way to Syria. And the effects of the Arab Springs are still being felt today. It caused a lot of damage that has not been resolved in many countries, like Libya. Countries like Egypt went and elected a Democrat for the first time, a president who had popular will. Guess what? They overthrew him and put in a dictator. Yeah, one of their guys. And nobody said anything. So they can do that in Gabon. They can do that in Niger. The alternative is Libya, where now there's a civil war that has been going on for a while. Libya has been taken back 20 years back, Or you can go the Syria way. Look at what happened in Syria. That's part of the same Arab Spring, But it ended up being chaotic. But it's because those countries did not have a unifying body that could do something about it. We have the African Union. You guys, stop sitting on your hands in Addis Ababa and do something. Declare some kind of emergency, invite important people, you know. I don't see why you should not have Olusegun Obasanjo, Uhuru Kenyatta, and Ian Khama, and people like Jakaya Kikwete, former presidents of respectable countries, to sit down and chart the way forward for our continent. You can do that. If you can't do that, find some serious people who can do it, you know. Don't rely on these presidents who are themselves puppets. And I know some of these other presidents, some of the names I've mentioned here, they have been puppets too, and they have been part of the game. But at least they served their countries. Now they are retired. We hope they could stand up and do something right for the continent, because this is a moment like no other in the last 60 years. We are in a moment of change. A revolution is here. And whether we like it, whether we admit it, whether we support it, whether we don't support it, it's here. The people are tired, and they are not going to allow, they will not continue with this system that continues to deprive them of their rights to a living, a right to healthcare, a right to good education, a right to make a living. It's not going to continue happening, and we have to stop it now. So my message today is to the African Union: step up and do the right thing. Thank you.